I don't know much about grief. I think, let me rephrase that. I don't think I've ever purposely initiated a session of grief in my life. Like, I don't think I've ever sat down and actually thought about all the things that I've lost or the things that I can't do anymore or the people I can't see anymore. To be fair, in my life, I've only experienced death of a loved one. You know, the only loved one I've actually lost that was, truly close to me was my dad. And I lost him twice. I lost him at 8 years old when he decided to assault my mom. They got into a fight. And obviously we know social contracts, men can't lay their hands on women, regardless of the situation. And I still live by that. I'm 6'7", I can't put my hands on anyone or I go to jail. So I think I learned that lesson really young when I saw my dad go to jail for something like that and then later leave my life. And I reconnected with him when I was 14. My grandmother took me to Detroit against my mother's wishes and decided to drop me off at my dad's house, which is a good thing. I mean, I should be able to see my dad, absolutely, but I wasn't coordinated. So I got dropped off at a trap house. And I guess I was 14 and too young to be told all this. So I'm just, basically living in confusion the whole time, just wondering why my dad's not coming to see me, why he don't want to see me. And he ends up taking me out to go make some money. We cut some lawns and we talked and we vibed out for that day. I don't even know what my little brother was. I actually don't even remember very well. And I met my little sister for the first time that same day. And that was the first and last time that I was able to reconnect with my dad. And ever since that moment, I came home, and the whole getting back from Detroit, because my grandma came from Rockford or Rockmart, I don't know, Rockford, Illinois. It's right outside of Chicago, like Northwest or something. Yeah, I didn't have a good experience leaving Detroit either because my grandmother's car got stolen. And I later find out in adulthood that she planned that, you know what I mean? She's basically set up fraud for her vehicle to get stolen. And I had experienced that and I had no answers. So I'm just thinking I'm, surrounded by it. Oh, before I, disconnected with my dad, he actually told me that basically my mom, all she wanted was money from him. And he ain't giving her no money. Basically let that other nigga take care of y'all. And so it's just, just some other shit like that. And I heard that from his own mouth. I heard it straight from the horse's mouth, sitting in the front seat next to my dad, basically telling me, I'm not coming to visit you, dog, because all your mom wants is money and I'm not giving it to her. So I think that just put a certain level of ice in my veins, not just for him, but really for any adult. I realized all of them were unreliable, probably around 14. And I feel like this was the initial grieving point that I probably should have realized that I needed to accept and absorb. But I think instead of normal grief, like what everybody else feels, I guess I feel a sense of grief, but I don't feel what the definition of grief is. I guess I don't get it exactly like that. For me, it just turned me into a monster. It made me want to become that much more successful. It made me want to go to college. It made me just want to shit on my dad, basically, and shit on my mom. Honestly, I lived with her, but I just stopped listening to her. Slowly but surely, 15, 16, 17. I mean, by 16, 17, I had a job. I was a dishwasher at Folks in Hiram. I lived in Hiram, Georgia. During that time in high school, we had just moved over there. Shit was going good. And then all of a sudden our car gets repossessed and, my mom goes and buys a new car in cash. And, in my head, I'm just like, where's all this? How does this shit go down? Like, why are people just irresponsible and not communicative? Like, why don't people talk to me about the problems? And so this is where my grief really started. I just feel like I didn't need to grieve. I just needed to be better than everybody else around me. I watched my brother get kicked out at 17 for talking shit to my mom, basically. And, I didn't even get a chance to really even grieve the loss of my brother. Not only after that did he have issues, obviously, with the law. He was in the military. He got kicked out of the military for some bullshit. He didn't get dishonorable, but he got, discharged. And during that time, I didn't talk to him because I was like, you're a fuck up too. It seems like everybody in my life is a giant fuck up, but nobody wants to talk about it. And so I can't get any better because I can't get clear answers about how people made bad decisions in their life. So I'm having to walk around, make my own decisions, better decisions, and I ended up fucking up my own life in many ways. Probably shouldn't have went to college. Probably should have just kept getting a job, got a skill, and kept stacking that money. I was a tradesman like my dad, but I had the intellect of a scholar. So I have both. I have the work ethic of a fucking Mexican, and I have the intellect of an Asian, I guess. I'm just kidding. I can't say that. You can get canceled for shit like that today. So anyway, basically not what you expect out of a black man from Detroit. Raised in Atlanta, raised in Georgia. I won't say Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, but mostly I was raised out in Paulding County, Georgia, man. I was with the white boys. So it's funny, I knew how to put my hands on stuff before I even met them boys. And I went out there with them rednecks and I learned a lot about life. I learned a lot from their parents. A lot of my friends' parents were millionaires and stuff, but I'm getting off subject. Basically, all this is to say, I don't really understand how to process grief because I just turned it into energy for me to go forward. But for whatever reason, I'm hitting my 30s. I'm 31 now, and it doesn't work anymore. I can't seem to pull from this pool of, I don't even know. I really don't know what I've done to myself when it comes to that. Maybe it's anger. Maybe I've never properly expressed anger, but I feel like my grief just turns into negative emotions, and I just use those negative emotions to go forward. But lately, I can't go forward with negative emotions. It's not working. You know, I want a family. I want all the things everybody else has out here, but I just can't get it. You know, I don't get that. I get to, you know, work my ass off, save some money, and then watch inflation eat all of it up. So this is my grief. This is my understanding of grief, is just take your negative emotions and go forward and try to destroy everything in your path. But it's running out. The steam is running out. It isn't as effective as it used to be. And well, I don't know what to do now. So now I'm in therapy, and this is assignment number 1. I'm probably gonna re-record this. Maybe not, maybe I'll just wait for tomorrow. But I'm gonna post this video because I don't know, man. I feel like my life has been on a good track. Like, I'm not hurt for anything. You know what I mean? I have everything I want right now. I have a good job. I mean, I just don't have a family and all that stuff. I have a girlfriend. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. I wanted the things that my parents had, but we don't live in that same world. So I felt like I was living on the programming they put in my head. And I mean, maybe it was good programming at the time, but now it seems to not have paid off. And now we're dealing with, you know, internal grief about all the problems that I've had in my life. And so this is me making a video, just talking about grief. And from here on out, I'm actually gonna sit down and try to learn how to process these emotions, because I've had a hard time my entire life truly processing my emotions. I've just stuffed them down so that I could walk forward. And I'm now learning just how unhealthy that was. So this is my first entry of 14 days until I meet my therapist again. You know, we made a challenge. The next 14 days, I need to put out a video just describing my progression through the understanding of grief. And today was just my gut reaction, my gut definition, and how I process these things, but not necessarily process them properly. So I said I won't make these videos more than 10 minutes, and I'm gonna stick to that. I don't wanna ramble. I guess this was just me as a journal entry for myself, just kind of getting some thoughts off my mind. I'm gonna review this video. I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna learn about grief, and I'm gonna try to journal about it, you know? This is one form of journaling, but I need to write as well. And yeah, I think we can do something with all this, you know? But until next time, until tomorrow, hey, actually.